I was trying to make a... Oh, I don't know. I can't get on with this stuff. I can't get on with these phones and videos. Make another bit of space. There's part one, and then it's part two, because basically I mucked up and pressed stop instead of pause, and it paused the video. So let's go to back where we were anyway. Basically, as I was trying to explain, this is held on with silicone, some white silicone, and there's the dome. There's a couple of things you can do with that actually. I'm going to tell you what in a minute. Underneath there you've got the LED lights, and that's the cap which I pulled off because I thought you could get in from the bottom and maybe it doesn't screw, but it doesn't. So don't take the bottom off because that doesn't get you into the light at all. So if I just fiddle with this quickly, I've actually pulled that off. I thought there was a transformer under there to drive the LED, but there is not. There is not. All that's under there is looks like a resistor, which is putting some heat shrink. I don't know if you can see that. So I think it's just a resistor and some heat shrink in there. So that's that bit. So we'll just forget that bit now. And then there's a capacitor and a piece of wire that's just fallen off somewhere. I'm not sure where that's gone. Oh, it's down there. And a small capacitor. Right, if I just put this back into focus. And this is a Sancon capacitor, 400 volts, 47 microfarads. So that's there. So it's driven directly off the mains. That's interesting, isn't it? Okay. So there we got a nice clear view of what we're looking at. I had to pull those pins open so you can see there and there, that's where the pins come up from the base. So if you take the cap off, like I said in the part one of the video, is to take the cap off, heat it up and take it off. You can actually get to the LEDs. Now I suspect one of these LEDs has failed. I don't know which one. Especially in the economic arena, you see they all look okay to be honest. You normally got a bit black if they failed, but is constrained by China's political system and the there's a rectifier there. George, your thoughts? There's not a lot to it, is there really? A lot with what Ligning said, particularly with. So you got a bridge rectifier there. About a year ago, a couple of small resistors there and there. Private property developer Evergrande. Basically, that's just a connector. In effect, but you know, China's property market is. Oh, actually, that's the capacitor. So the capacitor's actually pushed in. You can actually salvage that capacitor. I'll check that in a minute. See if that's what's gone. Chinese citizens and for its fabled middle class. And another one here, which is U1. So some kind of chip, and I presume it's just the driver chip for the LEDs. That's probably just the driver chip for the LEDs there. There's nothing else on it at all. The tech sector, the dynamic tech sector, no transformer. So these are actually cheaper to make, far cheaper than the old CFL type bulbs, which had quite a lot of circuitry in them, to be honest with you. This one's got literally nothing in it. Look at that, nothing. There's a piece of aluminium there, which is just for the heat sink. So that's actually acting as a heat sink there on the back. That's acting as the heat sink, that piece of aluminium on the back. That capacitor's just pushed through. It'll actually just pull out, I should presume. I'll try and get it out in a minute. Says all this might spell trouble, not just for Xi Jinping. And you've got the LEDs around the outside, a driver IC U1, a bridge rectifier in the middle there, and that's it. So, excuse my focusing. I'll try and get in focus. There we go. So what I think we're looking at really is the mains is coming in at 230 volts. I think it's got a big resistor in there, which is acting as a dropper. So that's dropping the voltage down. It's then going to the rectifier in the middle, which is converting it to DC. And you've got small resistors around the outside here. As you can see, 624, 624. I can't see what those ones say on there. How does one man shape a political party with almost 0415, I think that is. I can't see it very well. No glasses. The prime focus.
We've heard a variety of answers.
So there you go.
A bold vision filled with confidence over China's
and of course the driver chip there. So basically that's all that's in an LED light bulb. Very, very cheap to manufacture, especially in China. They can make millions of them, and not a lot you can do with it really. It certainly probably isn't worth repairing at any level really. I'm not too sure why this one failed. It was on quite a lot, and then one day I came back and it was quite dim and it was flickering. So I presume one of the LEDs has gone, but I don't know which one. And I'll have a quick look, but it's not worth fiddling with because it's not worth wasting money on. It might be his capacitor that's failed, possible. It isn't swollen up, but you don't know. I'll have a look. Anyway, interesting. So, if I hold that still, you can have a good look at what's inside. I can't see what that chip says on there, but I can't. Can you see that?
Share some power, and also the blame. Analysis was presented by Celia Hatton. The producer was Rob Walker.
It's an IC driver chip. I'll check that in a bit and see which one it is. But I don't think that's what's failed. I think one of these has gone short. So one of the LEDs has shorted out and it's pulled the others down, and that's the end of it. So anyway, that's what's in that. Come back to that. And nothing of any interest there. It's squashed because it got stuck in the vice. A couple of pins going up there.
Income side of the UK's balance sheet. We'll ask how different forms of taxation
so it fell out of there. So that's just a piece of plastic. I'm interested to see how recyclable this is actually. And, it's actually got aluminium in that, or steel. That might be steel actually. So I think it's got a steel shell inside there. Plastic. So how recyclable is that? Not really as recyclable as the old light bulbs, is it? Because the old light bulb, this style, it just had glass, a filament, and this aluminium base, BC base, and that was it. So actually, in the Bakelite base there, it's 10 o'clock, sorry, my clock's going off.
Welcome to 60 minutes of news and conversation.
So that was far more recyclable than this.
This is the Westminster Hour. The main news tonight.
That's just glass and a piece of aluminium around the base. That is easier to recycle. This is harder to recycle because this is multiple things. You've also got CFL on there. You've got the gas in the tubes, which isn't a lot, but it is gas. And you've got electronics in there, which is a circuit board, which contains an inverter. So basically, the whole thing is more complicated by design, and we're doing away with those anyway to replace them with these. That's all there is to that. Nothing. Nothing at all. Well, we'll see what happens. That's what we're dealing with at the moment, and that's the technology we have today. So yeah, hope you find that interesting. I'll upload this. There is a first part to this video. There isn't much else I can tell you in it. It's just describing or explaining how I got the bulb apart really. So it's just glued together, so some silicone around there. What you could do is if you took this apart carefully, remove that and didn't damage this piece here like I've already done, you could then stick a normal little 6-volt light bulb or something in there on LED, wire it up and make yourself a magic light bulb. So you could pretend it's lighting up. People would say, oh my goodness, you're a magician. You're a magician. And that's what's happening. But you don't know. Absolute nonsense I'm talking, don't worry about it. It's just an idea. That's it. I'll see some of you again. We'll upload my next nonsense video, which will probably be sometime soon. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you found that interesting to how an LED light bulb comes apart and what's inside. Thank you very much.